How's it going, everybody? My name's Eric, and in this video we're going to do a step-by-step tutorial testing a PlayStation 3. It's going to be perfect for those who did not grow up gaming and don't really know what goes on with the PlayStation, and should be helpful if you have a PlayStation that you found and you need to test it before selling it, or if you're buying a PlayStation and you want to make sure everything works on it before forking over $100 or hundreds of dollars for your PlayStation 3. Specifically, we're going to be testing a backwards compatible PlayStation 3. I'm going to show you everything you need to test it to get it ready for resale, or if you're on the buying side, everything you need to check before buying it so you don't bring it home and feel like you got scammed because something's broken. If at any time during the video you have a question, put them in the comment section and I will try my best to get back to you. And if you haven't already, please give the video a thumbs up. If you haven't already subscribed to the channel, consider subscribing, and let's get into the PlayStation 3 that we are testing. It is the backwards compatible model. It has the 4 USB ports on the front. And if you look at the back, this is actually the CECHE01. So in order to test your PlayStation 3, you're going to need a PlayStation 3. You're going to need a TV. You're going to need a PlayStation 3 controller, PlayStation 3 game. You're going to need a PlayStation 2 game if you're testing the backwards compatible PlayStation. HDMI cord, that is what an HDMI cord looks like. Power cable, this is what your power cable looks like. It's a very standard cable, it goes to a lot of printers or other devices that have built-in power supplies. And you're going to need a USB to mini USB cable. This is to attach our controller to our PlayStation, and that is what the mini USB tip looks like, and that's just a regular USB tip. This goes into the controller, this is gonna go into the PlayStation. But this is also what the old Motorola cell phones charged on, if you remember those. Before we plug anything in, I'm gonna tell you the main 4 failures on this machine. You can test 3 of them without having to hook up to a TV, but you will need a power cable to test those. We're going to turn this over, plug the power cable in, and then we're going to plug this into the wall. You should get a red LED on the front there. If you don't get the red LED, your switch in the back is probably on circle. And as you can see, no LED. So I'm gonna flip that switch and turn it on, and then we get a red LED. Before anything, you wanna check to see if it has the yellow light of death, and all you have to do is turn the machine on. It should go green and you're good. If it doesn't go green and starts blinking yellow, more than likely there's some chip problems from an overheating flaw that these had, and the PlayStation is going to be sold for parts or repair, and it's not going to be working under most people's skill levels. That's the first thing you're gonna wanna test, is just the power. Second, you're gonna wanna test if the actual loading mechanism on the disk drive works, and you can do that. You can take any disk, doesn't have to necessarily be a PlayStation 3 disk, and you're just going to push it in, see if it loads it in, and then you're going to hit eject and see if it ejects. There's mechanical gears and arms and motors in the disk drive that can fail. Things can be jammed in there, and that is one thing you definitely want to check and test before buying your PlayStation 3. The third failure that's kind of common on these are a port in the front, a USB port to be broken. It would not be a deal breaker, but it's still something that you want to test. And the way you would do it in store is a little bit different than you would do at home. That would be by taking a cell phone and a cell phone charger, plugging it in to that USB, and then making sure that it charges your phone on every single USB port. So the first one, it's charging my phone. Second one's charging my phone. Third one's charging my phone. Fourth one is charging my phone. If you don't have a way to test the USB ports for power, you can visually inspect them. Usually when they're not working, there is some sort of visible physical damage to the port. Yellow light of death is a deal breaker for me. Now that you've tested your PlayStation for yellow light of death, we're actually going to test it further by hooking it up to a TV with a HDMI cord. One end of this HDMI cord is going to go into the back of the PlayStation where it says HDMI out right here. You're just going to plug that right in, and then you're going to take the other end of your cord and you're going to plug this into your TV input. So on my TV, my HDMIs are easily accessible here on the side. I'm gonna plug that in. Make note of what input you're putting it on. This is HDMI 3. So when I turn my TV on, I'll have to change to HDMI 3 input. Power is plugged in, HDMI is plugged in, PlayStation is on with a green light. And now I'm going to turn on my TV. So on my TV, I have to hit source button on my remote. You might have an input button. Go over to PlayStation 3 and it should display a picture if your HDMI port is not broken. Most people are going to be plugging and playing their PlayStation 3 through HDMI. Maybe the console fell off of a table and some physical damage was done to that port, or just from plugging and unplugging the cable so many times that port can go bad, and the only way to test it is with a TV. Most likely you're gonna get this screen like I did, means that the PlayStation just wasn't turned off correctly the last time that it was played, and I'll show you how to kind of get past this screen right now. You can follow those on-screen instructions, or you can do what I'm about to show you. So back to the PlayStation, I'm gonna plug in a USB to USB mini cord into a front USB port, and then I'm going to plug the other end of it into a controller. The controller should start blinking, and then you have to press this middle PlayStation button, and it should change the blinking lights to one solid light, meaning that this is connected as the first player controller. Now back on the TV, I'm gonna show you. We're going to press X button, which hits OK, and now the system says it was not turned off correctly. It's going to restart, check the file system, restore stuff if there's corrupted files. If the file system's corrupted, it could take 2 to 3 hours to complete. We will press X one more time. The system will reboot and it'll run this error check. Okay, my PlayStation is now rebooting and we got to the home screen. So if you do not get to the home screen, there may be a software problem with your PlayStation, or your hard drive could have completely failed, but you should be able to get to the home screen. If you can't, then you have another issue that you're gonna have to take care of. We're back on the controller. I did have to press that center button kind of to activate the controller, but I can now navigate through the menu. You can see that everything's working on here. We're going to test a couple things further. Now we're gonna take the PlayStation game. I'm going to put it in like I showed earlier on in the video. I'm just gonna slide it right into the PlayStation and it should start loading some sort of game on your TV. Okay. This is going to test the laser on the PlayStation, that it can actually read the game and not just load the game physically. And then it's also going to test the hard drive that a game can be installed on it. It took a couple minutes to actually load the game, but it looks like the game is playing. This game saves data automatically. Do not switch off the power when the HDD access indicator is flashing. Okay, I'm going to hit X to continue. Press the start button. Just pick any game. I'm just continuing to press X to kind of start a game. Okay, it took a while for the actual game to start, but it did, and it looks like it is playing fine. So rather than making you watch me play this game, I'm going to press the center button and go to quit game and press X, and then go over, press X again, and quit that game. Now that we've quit that game, I'm going to eject it. And it is safe to say that it can indeed read PlayStation 3 games. You want to make sure that if you have a backwards compatible PlayStation 3, which is a couple of the original models with the 4 USB ports on the front, you're going to want to test. Take a PlayStation 2 game now. I'm going to put it in, and then I'm going to point you guys at the TV. So it recognized that it's a PlayStation 2 game, as you can see right there. I'm gonna hit X on the controller to launch that PlayStation 2 game. So it started playing the game. It did the PlayStation, it recognizes it's a PlayStation 2 game. It started playing it and then it crashed. I'm gonna take the game out. If you actually look at the disc, it is really, really scratched, and it is also a colored disc, and some of the PlayStations do not play colored discs, so that might be a problem with this console. I'm going to, luckily I have another game that is a silver bottom. We're going to put that in and see if we can play the Guitar Hero game. Guitar Hero game in. It actually recognized it and it started playing it automatically. And it looks like Guitar Hero PlayStation 2 game is playing. Although I don't have the Guitar Hero guitar, I'm using the controller just as I would the Guitar Hero guitar. I'm able to navigate and go through the game. It looks like it's playing perfectly fine. So this is indeed working. It can play PlayStation 2 and PlayStation 3 games. If you're really new to PlayStation, if you want to get out of the game, you press this center button, and then you can just navigate to quit game and then press X. Do you really want to quit the game? Go over, press yes, and that will get you out of the game back to that home screen. If you want to see what size hard drive you have in your PlayStation, you're going to want to go to settings, go down to system settings, go down to system information, and it tells you right there under free space, it tells you right there under system information what version of the operating system is on there, and also the free space. So there's 14 gigabytes out of 74 gigabytes, which means this was originally an 80 gigabyte PlayStation. This lets me know that it has the original hard drive in it. This was an 80 gigabyte hard drive. I think they came in 40, 60, and 80. But please don't quote me on that. Now we're gonna connect it to the internet because maybe somebody wants to browse the internet or watch Netflix on their PlayStation. I don't know if there's multiplayer games that are still being hosted. Maybe there are. It's just a good idea to check the internet to make sure that it connects. So you go over to settings, go down to network settings, press X, go to internet connection settings, press X, adjust settings for connection to the internet, press X again, select a settings method, easy, we're gonna press X. We're gonna do a wireless connection because we're testing the wireless card. We're gonna scan for wireless networks, and there's my network. It's called 8-foot ceilings. Now I'm going to press over. It asks for the security settings. If you have no security settings, you would go to none. If you have a WEP code, you would go to WEP. And if you have a WPA code, that's what we have, you would go down to WPA-PSK, press X, and then here you're gonna type in your wireless code. Once you put it all in, you can press start and then go over once more, and it's going to try to connect to the wireless network. And it looks like it connected. I'm going to press X to save the settings. And sure, we're gonna test the connection to see if it connects. All right, it's asking for a system software update at the bottom. I'm not going to do a system software update because I'm actually going to be replacing the hard drive in this PlayStation, which is going to be a different video on how to upgrade your PlayStation 3 hard drive. But for this video, I'm just going to go back, and that is pretty much everything we're going to be testing with the TV and with the PlayStation. I'm gonna turn off the PlayStation correctly by holding this circle button right here, going to turn off system, and then I'm going to hit X. Do you want to turn off the system? I'm gonna hit X again, and it's going to turn off the PlayStation how it should turn off so you don't get that error code next time you boot it up. That's my method that I use for testing the PlayStation 3. Obviously, I didn't go over like how to test every button on a controller. That would be playing the game and actually going through testing every single button, making sure that the joysticks don't drift, making sure that it actually can hold a charge, because these do have a battery. That's not comprehensively included in this video. And I do want to go over a couple more things in the back here. So we used HDMI. The LAN port is like an Ethernet port. This isn't gonna be going bad unless there was trauma to it. Most people don't even use this port, so I usually forego testing it. You can test it if you want by plugging it into your router directly and seeing if you get an internet connection. The digital optical port, most likely people were not using this, and it will be working perfectly fine. And the AV multi-out, this is a specific proprietary Sony video out that most people don't use it, but maybe the person did because they didn't have an HDMI TV. Most people are gonna be using HDMI. You could test that if you want, but buyer of your PlayStation's probably not even gonna be using that, so I usually do not test that. There are a couple of things in the front as well. There's a compact flash port, there's an SD, mini SD port, and a memory stick port. I don't really test these either because most people aren't gonna be using those anyways. Another tip that I like to do is play a Blu-ray, because this will let me know if the PlayStation like overheats and turns off for some reason. So I'll put a Blu-ray in, I will play it, and then just let it play in the background with the PlayStation on and see if for whatever reason it overheats and turns off, which could be some sort of problem with the power supply or cooling or having cockroaches inside or something. But that's something that I just figured I would throw in there. That pretty much concludes the video. It was a pretty detailed PlayStation 3 how to test video. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you haven't already, please give the video a thumbs up. If you haven't already subscribed to the channel, consider subscribing. If you have any questions about the video, put them in the comment section below, and I will talk to you in the next video. Bye.